speaker this morning, Rosabel Young, is working on her Pathways Innovational Planning Project Level 4. Her 5 to 7 minute speech today is an elective project on building a social media presence, and she will share some aspects of her experience establishing or enhancing a social media presence. The title of Rosabel's speech is Networking in Cyberspace, the Wave of the Present. Please help me welcome our first speaker of the day, Toastmaster Rosabel Young.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster Deborah. Well, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my road to cyberspace. I would say I started thinking, Facebook, and well, first, way back in 2015, I started a website and I did the usual, answer the ad on television, call the 800 number. It's a big name. They have funny cartoons on TV. It must be the right thing to do. So I called them and I paid them a couple of $1,000s, and they set up a website that was non-functional for my purposes. I mean, it looked like I was selling widgets instead of a foundation for brain injury and art and music. Not serious at all. It wasn't really meeting the purpose. What was worse is that I couldn't edit anything. Every time I wanted to change something, I had to call them and then pay them again in addition to their monthly maintenance. Plus I had to pay a monthly maintenance, but I had to call them and ask them to change it. I had no control. So basically I had to abandon that website, and they closed it down because I said, well, my contract is over after a year and it really hasn't met my purpose. Then I went to Facebook, and Facebook had a lot of changes between 2016 and 2020. And the changes ended up charging me more and more and more for every little thing I wanted to do. Every ad, every event posting, every promotion, every boost. And it also ended up being quite expensive. And I couldn't get real numbers. I would get a response from Facebook saying, your post reached 5,000 people. And then 5 people would show up. That's what, didn't you see my post? And then I would pay a little more and say, and they would say, 300 people responded to your post. And then only maybe 30 people would come. And I couldn't figure out why I was spending so much money, up to $400 per promotion, and not getting the response. Meanwhile, in Barcelona, where it's a big community and international and everybody's always bumping shoulders because the metro is really tight, you have no choice but to rub shoulders with everybody, even through COVID. I don't know how they survived, but it's basically a crowded city. And I'm also in a downtown Plaza España, and their just visibility got me boosted. So that's why my response in Barcelona, 6,000 miles away, has been so great. But here in Redlands, in my own hometown, or even in Los Angeles, I've hardly gotten any response. I think it's because Facebook was not the right way to go either. And now I have a local webmaster, not somebody, out in the boonies who's just sitting at a desk and writing web pages, but actually somebody who knows the community and also is a good webmaster, Aaron Burke, whom several of you have met already. Certainly Bond and Roz and Mona have. And Aaron uses WordPress to set up the website. And that means I can go in and edit it if I dare. I'll share my screen. The web page is just simply wentworth.org. And if I want to go, I won't show you because I don't want to make a mistake. And besides, he might be on the editing now, so I would interfere. But if you go to WordPress and enter as the administrator, I can edit all of this text, change the size, and move images around, almost as if it were Microsoft Publisher. However, some of the edits are written in stone and very difficult to change. So I definitely need Aaron because he knows how to get around those. But the main lesson on the website is you want to get a webmaster who makes you the administrator and not themselves the administrator. So every time you want to edit, you should have a little bit of understanding of the WordPress or whatever program you use, or at least make sure that administrator you hire is not going to charge you every time you want to edit. That he'll teach you how to do the edit rather than say, oh, I've got total control. Plus, if there's a glitch on it and a customer says, oh, you've got a misspelling on your website, you don't want to wait 3 days for him to fix it. You want to be able to go in and fix it yourself. Those edits are actually relatively easy. It's the imaging edits that are difficult. So I always leave those to Aaron. Then the next lesson on the website is don't have too many tabs. Initially, Aaron put 7 tabs, and I said, that's too busy. People don't want to go to 7 different places. They'll get tired by the 3rd tab unless it's really interesting. So then we made the 3rd tab really interesting. This is the home page, and it has a little bio, our upcoming event, art party. Here, I'll play it. This is our November 12th event we've all been working on. So just the simple website for the art event on a simple website post, not a long video. Then a little bio and then something about artists. So it's kind of a preview to the rest, to the organization. The next tab is about us. And usually your 2nd tab should have more detail. Once you've engaged them with your 1st tab, the 2nd tab has more detail. So here we have art and brain together here in this little catchy logo. And then more detail. By this time, you've engaged them and they're willing to sit down and read. And you can make it bigger or smaller depending on whether you're on an iPhone or a desktop or a laptop. And usually you want it readable with several short segments and not one long narrative. And this has our history and then programs we do with the fundraising money or for free to the beneficiaries who are the brain injury patients. And then also speeches that I've learned to do with Toastmasters. So these are speeches that I give either to local support groups in person or at local churches where people have gatherings after a religious event, especially the Epilepsy Foundation, for example, the MS Society, the ALS Association, and several others that I've already known for many, many years since I've been a neurologist. And these are basically questions patients asked me. I didn't decide what to talk about. They came to me with these questions and I just created the speech because I knew those were the questions that needed to be answered. And then if you want to add a question, people can click on a contact us tab that they can post their question message here. And when they submit it, I get an email. I actually get the email directly. It's not going to be one of those emails where the response is, click here to donate. The response will actually be me. Do you want a speech or do you want a private consult? Or is it about a family member or friend? Or are you a Toastmaster who wants to help or another local volunteer? I mentioned before that the 3rd, I might be running out of time. I can't see the timer. But for some reason, I only see 6 of the 9 attendees. One of them, oh, there I am on red. Okay, well, I'll wrap it up. So the 3rd tab, the artists, is the most interesting because this is where artists can post themselves on my website. And they help me network. So I give them basically a free web page and they actually have their own link directly and they can give it out to their customers. And then of course the events that you know about, like we're having on November 12th. And the last contact us page also has at the bottom a donate button. And when you click the donate button, this one takes you to PayPal, which has a donation type setup. And you're supposed to enter the amount here like this. And if you want to cover the fees that I pay for the PayPal, you can click there or else not. And then if you want to make it monthly here. So I keep the donation page very subtle so that it's not overwhelmingly pushy, like many of these donors have really pushy donation buttons. And then at the top of my homepage, I have links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And YouTube has all the videos, including the one we did with Julius on from Toastmasters. Okay, thank you, and back to you.